This is how one of the largest online personalities in the crypto and entrepreneur space, Alex Becker, actually made his millions with gaming altcoins and the genius strategy that has gone into it that I am going to share with everyone today. So let me take your attention now to the screen. And guys, I'm going to take you step by step through how he managed to make his millions in multiple videos that he has made breaking down this process, what to do and what not to do. So you can all, of course, follow along nicely, right? So of course, should we invest in gaming altcoins? Well, obviously, yes, it's definitely still viable. Actually, it's one of the largest niches in crypto and will forever be growing and growing, okay? Now, Alex and I share a similar opinion here. We both believe there's going to be trillions. Yes, he's actually said this, trillions of dollars that will flow into gaming altcoins come 2025. So of course, now is a perfect time, even in 2025 is a perfect time to review this framework and start learning how he made his money, okay? This is a clear framework he has come out with, all right? And obviously, what do? Just like any good, someone who wants to learn something new, you've got to kind of mimic what the pros have done before, and then you can alter it depending on your own personal opinions and framework. Now, I'm going to make this sheet completely free, right? So this is quite a large sheet. I'm going to let you guys actually go through yourself and read it in finer detail. Yes, we're going to cover everything today, but not in that granular detail that I probably would like to. And that's because it is designed for you to go to the first link in the description and view yourself, extract the information. I'm not going to put a time frame on this, so anyone in the future can, of course, go in there and scrape it, okay? Now, Alex mentions how he believes crypto gaming right now is equivalent to, Snake on the mobile phone or Super Mario on the console. Essentially, we're early. We're pretty much at the very tip of the iceberg in terms of not just how early we are in terms of growth, but also quality as well. Now, Alex has also mentioned that crypto gaming and the metaverse is, of course, going to be one of the largest industries in the entire world. Okay, not just crypto, the entire world. And why? Well, because there's about 3 billion quote-unquote gamers in the world right now, and it's growing, right? I think it's grown like 1 billion since like 2021. So this just keeps growing and growing. More people find comfort in games, just like movies and so on. And as the world kind of pushes out the older generation, we're going to have more of the younger generation come in. And of course, they're going to be growing up with games as well. So it's just going to get more and more and more. And so he's pretty right, assuming that, hey, this is going to get pretty damn popular because crypto has an aspect called play to earn, which is what we're going to cover in a second, which allows people to actually get rewards for playing games, which is pretty well unlike most games out there, right? Real rewards. Now, overall, again, we're still very early. Alex says, I actually believe him and I agree with him in this case. Again, even if you're watching this in 2025, I still think that this is a very viable framework, probably even 2030 plus, right? So we share a very similar opinion in that we both believe gaming will see the most amount of demand in 2025. It will be one of the most viable first use cases for crypto, specifically play to earn and GameFi. Now, if you don't know who the hell Alex Becker is, let me quickly go into it before I start teaching you what he has actually said, okay? So he's a YouTuber, 1.35 million subscribers. He's an entrepreneur with over $100 million net worth, probably a lot more than that, right? It's always wrong with the net worths. He's an investor in obviously crypto and stocks, and also he does a lot about biohacking, which I actually have been getting into recently thanks to my mentor, and I'm telling you right now, this guy's on the right track. So I look up to Alex, not, on the daily, but I definitely look up to him in the sense of this guy's got it going on, and I look up to him in the sense of, okay, he's crushing life. People might disagree with me, but I do think that he's got a lot of the good patterns you might want to emulate. Now, Alex breaks down his gaming investment strategy into 4 distinct layers. So again, make sure you copy it and then build on it if you need to as well. So the first phase, research. Second phase, spot the BS. Quite fitting, of course. I have to say that. Number 3, marketing strategy. And number 4 is the scope. I'm going to go into what he means in that. But essentially, you have to apply these 4 layers at this part of a project, right? This is Illuvium. So, of course, this is pretty much akin to most altcoins, regardless of gaming or not. But I still think it definitely is more viable and more applicable to gaming because what people get scared of is, oh my God, the project's low. And then, it hits a point here where people go, oh crap, there's, tons of demand coming in and they buy up here. But we have to apply what Alex is about to show us in these particular frameworks at this particular stage, right here. So Alex references buying gaming altcoins when no one knows or talks about them. And then, of course, selling them when they get adopted. Very important to understand, which is the moment they rapidly grow in price. We'll talk more about this momentarily. And so to make this work, you cannot rely on crypto influencers or a narrative to already be playing out. To make this happen, you've got to do the research yourself and apply these 4 layers when the project seemingly looks dead, okay? So You got to trust yourself here, DYOR, but trust me, the DYOR actually isn't that hard, especially if you have a knack or pre-existing knowledge of games and how games are actually created. So, number one, research. Begin gathering as much info on the market as possible, right? Alex clearly states that this is currently the best method to find gaming altcoin gems. We are so early, even right now, that there really isn't a better alternative than doing this, okay? So I'm going to show you what to do. 3 steps in this particular phase right here, and you might look at this and think to yourself, this is obvious, like this is not really like any alpha here, okay? But I want to reiterate what he also said multiple times in his videos, and that is, again, there's no better alternative to doing it this way. You have to do it this way to begin researching the market, to find the connections. Once you begin affiliating yourself with connections, and I know this as someone who's been in crypto for a while now, things begin to come second nature. I hear one thing and I can immediately connect that with something else that isn't actually immediately evident in an article or mentioned per se in that instance, okay? So it's very important you just begin affiliating yourself with names, like he says here. You know, follow the largest brands, venture capitalists, which is like the big investment firms, and whales, okay, on Twitter. So you might have to also go and make a new Twitter account. If you do, I definitely have done this for my own personal altcoins. It's definitely a viable option, right? And so what you have to do is intertwine your research with the thought leaders in the space, okay? So again, gaming altcoins are particularly important here because these are the ones that will definitely have the largest pumps in 2025 and probably beyond, and also are the ones that we can make these 100x gains on, right? That's why Alex is a really big proponent of these projects. So this is some examples here, right? So we might have the Animoca Brands co-founder over here. Might be someone you follow, also Alluvium co-founder, or someone that's a popular NFT creator. Yes, NFTs are important because these sort of creators do talk about games as well. You have metaverse creators as well, and of course you have game creators. So anything in between, you want to follow a diverse group of people, but you want to keep it relevant to the topic, okay? And so this way, what happens is, you're going to participate then in any sort of, announcements that come up, or Twitter spaces, chats, conversations that are happening between these people or on the whim, right? And then obviously you're going to be open to what I'm going to talk about next, which is they might open up Discord chats and things like that for a limited time, which you can then access, okay? Or you can ask questions, and you can just hear bits of alpha they don't typically mention until sometimes days or weeks later, okay? So the goal here is, of course, to create a Twitter feed that is consistently dropping you information or gems on trends, games, and communities, aka you're just going to have to fumble around here and just pick up the slack, okay? So what this might open up, and what you should go out and do as well, is join as many gaming-focused Discord channels as possible to familiarize yourself with the latest news directly from gamers themselves. Again, there's no easy way to find these communities. You're going to have to go and scout for these yourself. Now, of course, as I mentioned down here, don't worry, they will publish these channels, even if it is exclusive/limited access. So you will get announcements from them on Twitter and things like that. So you don't have to worry. But of course, you should still be going out there and trying to find these communities. Any NFT collector knows it's all on Discord, guys. Discord games. It's all on this platform, okay? And of course, it definitely helps that you can go through different channels and so on and so forth. But ultimately, what you're trying to do here, and why it's very important you find as many channels as possible, because when you add friends, it always says on Discord what other channels or essentially servers those people are on as well. So for example, I have my own Discord server. You guys should go ahead and join below. No BS Crypto. I'm also in the Nillion, which is a crypto project Discord channel as well. So if someone adds me, I can see if they're in Nillion and also my Discord channel to see who we're associated with, and also maybe even what our common interests are, okay? So that's why it's important you go ahead and follow as many as you can, because it'll make the next step easier, which is really, really important. And that's finding 5 to 10 people and get close to them, right? So what you don't want to do, Alex was very specific about this in his videos, is that you don't want to direct your time and energy into the public Discord. You don't want to be having a conversation with 1,000 people. Your goal should be to find 5 to 10 people that are at a similar or higher level than you and talk to them daily. Now, what did Mr. Beast always say? Mr. Beast has publicly said the best thing you should do when you're actually going ahead and creating channels or anything is find like a group of people that are just as interested as you and learning, because then you learn however many people you have times faster, 5, 10, 15 times faster, right? So it's very, very important we go ahead and do this and become familiar with the landscape and the people, so on and so forth. And number 2, obviously, is spot the BS, okay? So siphon out the scams and the games that won't amount to anything. This is so damn important, okay? Alex uses the analogy of Steam, the online, software platform where people, can obviously put up their games to buy and sell. Most games are created, do not generate any money or gain any adoption whatsoever, right? They might have 1, 2, 3, 5,000 people that actually download it, but that's not going mainstream. That's not enough to actually create a viable product or demand, which is what we're looking for here, demand, okay? And obviously is the same in Web3 games as well. So when I say scam here, you should avoid them, of course, but what a scam essentially is, and how Alex defines that, is a project that isn't a legitimate business and is only looking to take your money, of course, right? So this can be seen as any altcoin game that copies another game cheaply. These games will simply just pretty much not be played and therefore channel no demand in the long run. So it's essential that you get good at spotting and throwing together games, essentially. So you want to find games that are just being quickly thrown together, and that's what Alex really wanted to push as well. So quality games take a long time to create, and the gameplay, or what's called the gameplay loop, right, which is pretty much the addicting aspect of the game that keeps people playing, creates that dopamine feeling, is hard to create. So we have to look for this and have to recognize that takes a long time to perfect. It's simple, but hard to perfect, right? And because of this, be very wary of the games that have been built fast. Anyone can promise gameplay and a gameplay loop and deliver on that within a few days and low budget. Anyone can just create animation and just fake that as actual gameplay, of course. So you need to assess the uniqueness of the loop and overall game design. Now, you cannot be impressed by screenshots as well. It's very important we recognize this, because anyone can go ahead and actually go into Unity Store, which is like a place where you can buy like presets for things, and buy like a preset pack for a specific type of skin, or like they can create a screenshot with like, you know, model a few different things in here, create like a flame, which is a package you can buy like for $100, and then create a few characters you can of course buy for more money as well. Take a screenshot and say, hey, this is our game. A matter of fact, I might actually go ahead and show you guys what I'm talking about here, because I do think that this is super important that you do recognize, okay? So again, any developer can go in here and buy this package, right? And then have access to all these different skins, okay? And they can just go in there, they have these characters, they have these little side quests, if you will, these little tables and stuff, and they can go in here and implement them into a game and create a screenshot or whatever they might like, okay? And there's so many options here. You just go to 3D animations and there's just so many options, okay? So it's very easy for anyone to fake this. So we want to be very careful in the projects that we do go ahead and have a look at, because again, developers can pretty much buy these packs and make it look like they have a genuine game. So to combat this, what does Alex do? Well, he says you need to actually see some gameplay. Now, it's not in every single situation, but of course, it definitely does help. At least if you're talking about teams that aren't reputable, that are newer teams, you definitely want to see this, right? Some of the more experienced teams that have had prior experience in AAA games or large titles, they're more trustable, okay? But by contrast, you definitely have to look at things like gameplay, developers, code, and art. That's very important to assess when you're looking at a project, okay, and discerning whether the project is legitimate or not, especially if it's in these early phases. Now, all of this should be lined up ahead of time, so games shouldn't be asking you for any money at all without proof the game is somewhat already underway. Otherwise, again, you risk losing money in a scam, even if by chance the project you're looking at is genuine. So it's hard to differentiate sometimes. Okay, the project might be genuine, but because we've had 1,000 scams to every one genuine project at this stage, it's best not to trust them than to be overly trustful, okay? Now, Alex's number one piece of advice in this instance is indie game marketing and indie game development research is critical. So if you take your game seriously, if you want to actually tackle this market, then you really have to look into how indie game marketing is actually gone ahead and done, how they actually create the games themselves, okay? So he mentioned it's impossible to give one or multiple defining pieces of advice that will allow you to spot possible scams. So you have to go out and research these multiple different aspects as well, okay? So again, research how indie games are created, designed, marketed, and operated by a team, and how the overall A to Z process is. That sounds so annoying and long, if you will, but it doesn't really have to be. You know, it should take you about a day to understand this sort of thing, or a couple of days, and then from there, you can go and start applying it to crypto. Every bit of knowledge helps, and as we'll look at in just a second, this is all cross-transferable, right? So crypto isn't creating like this new type of world where we have to find new developers for these games. It's just existing games with crypto features implemented within them, okay? So what he says down here is observing the team is super important, and here's some very important things to remember. A team should have a history of creating mobile, PC, or console games. Someone in the team should ideally have some experience in a large title game and obviously in crypto before, whether it's gaming, metaverse, or something else, okay? Now, he also makes a very good point in here, okay? Crypto gaming didn't just happen overnight, as I mentioned to you before, right? These are the same damn games under the surface, except they're leveraging some new crypto functions, right? Play to earn, GameFi, whatever it might be, okay? So just remember that we are trying to buy remarkable games worthwhile of 100x. A team that has a history is so much more important than a new/fresh team with no history. We're not trying to take chances. Remember that, guys. Again, it can be very easy, as we know from this page over here from Unity, to replicate a game that looks really, really good. Even playable, right? It takes a few days for them to go ahead and actually create something like that, and then even create the gameplay footage. To be very, very careful. And number 3, right, marketing strategy. Now, this one gets quite deep, so I don't want to spend too much time on this. 95% of the game's success early relies on the artwork, okay? So artwork / screenshots of the gameplay has a substantial effect on the success of the game, as this will drive sales and pique interest. So number 1, these are the must in relation to marketing. Number 1, artwork is great and intriguing. Number 2, open with the design of their game and aren't hiding aspects until launch, especially worrying if they are offering NFTs and a token before the game has actually been announced or before they've proven anything, okay? And number 3 is consistent updates. They have to be consistent. So here's the really important part that I actually really want to cover for you guys to understand, right? And it's defined gameplay loops. So the addictive component is actually important as part of the marketing scheme because they need to make the game so damn addictive. If we go and have a look at the loop, and Alex stresses this many, many times, if this loop, which can be very simple, by the way, isn't obvious, it isn't out there publicly known, and isn't very effective, it's pointless, right? Because the game is going to die off very quickly. So what is the obvious, clear, and effective component that will trigger a dopamine hit when playing the game, right? So for example, this is a very butchered version, but you might start the game, you do something like kill a creature, you can power up, gain money, get stronger through XP. You might die, for example, have to restart, do a level again. If you go on, you might be able to then upgrade, and if you die over here, you reset to this point, so on and so forth. It's this loop that people play the game for, right? So you look at any sort of game in the world, Candy Crush, any sort of your open sandbox games, like anything out there, there's typically some sort of loop, or obviously for an open sandbox game, typically there's like the campaign levels. You guys get the idea, right? But what's really important here is that Alex mentions that we have to actually find where the crypto functionality is placed so that it can drive an underlying economy, okay? Because this essentially will drive demand for the NFT or the token or some sort of product, right? So search for ways the game requires the player to either use or buy the NFTs, require the purchase of the token, or other mechanics that can play into GameFi, right? So this is the crypto token over here. Crypto is added to the loop, not the core component of the loop, okay? So you don't want to have it's the whole loop, the addictive part of the game, built around either the NFT itself or something like that. There should be a clear loop within the game. Remember, it's a game first, crypto added second. And then within that loop itself, you should be able to do things like, get tokens or NFTs to level up or something in the game itself that is complemented with crypto. If it's a core component, what happens then? Well, as Alex mentioned down here, a common issue is that most games in crypto, including large ones, they don't actually adequately incorporate crypto features, and therefore the game is either boring or doesn't adequately drive demand for the token, right? So again, if it kind of focuses on the crypto aspect in that loop as a primary feature, yeah, you're going to be good because it's going to be okay, of course. So if the game itself focuses heavily on the crypto aspect in that loop, what you'll find is, yeah, obviously people want to come in and then buy that, whatever it is, like the token or the NFT, but after a while, they're receiving rewards, it gets boring. Like they're pretty much playing it just to make money and they're not incentivized. There will be a time where they stop playing it. So we're looking for it to be addictive, and in that loop, it complements the underlying economy, okay? And that's what makes it sustainable, and that's what gives it this massive explosive feature, because people will just keep playing and playing and playing, therefore it shoots the price up or shoots the price of the NFT up, so on and so forth, of course. Now, number 2 in the marketing strategy, he says, find indie games that have worked in the past. This is integral, and it was so mind-blowing to see this, actually, him say this, because I was like, wow, it makes so much sense, right? So this is important because most of the crypto gaming studios aren't capable of creating AAA games, period. And so indie games work well in this case because they're typically easier to make, extremely addictive, and only require teams ranging from 1 to 30 people. So you must do your research in indie games. And he said this multiple times in this process. So indie game research is integral if you want to actually be good at finding these projects, right? So it makes total sense. So we don't want to be finding games that we're a AAA game and we're trying to do all this amazing stuff. We're trying to keep people like Skyrim. Okay, that's not really feasible. There's so much that happens. And actually it translates to my last point, which is the scope, right? So we'll come back to that in just a second. So the scope is what has to get done for the game to work. So essentially, what is the game? What are the elements to make it work? Does it, have 100 bosses, 1,000 levels, various XP ranks, or something more simple? So don't always try to find a project with large scopes, aka they're trying to do that 100 bosses, 1,000 levels, so on and so forth. Like I was saying before, if it's really complex, it takes a longer time to create, right? We're looking for the next 1 to 2 years, as Alex says down here. Obviously, the game has to actually be fun and, must be active for it to be a viable, buy option for us come 2025. So, games pushing crazy claims like we are the next Grand Theft Auto, Skyrim, or Elder Scrolls, right? They really should be avoided. And I agree with Alex, because these games take 4+ years, sometimes 10 years to make, and they have high downsides, right? They could be really bad, and therefore they could collapse, right? So overall, what is Alex looking for? Alex tries to find games with a limited scope. Again, so this is, next 1 to 2 years, indie-based games, paired with an addictive gameplay loop itself. Again, it needs to keep people in the game. Again, it can be very, very simple. Simplicity often wins. And we want it to be achievable, cleanly polished, and addictive, with a crypto feature like that, mechanism, if you will, or multiple mechanisms to complement the gameplay loop, okay? That is not the loop itself. So hopefully that has made a little bit of sense, guys. I apologize for glossing through it so quickly. I'm going to, again, leave the link down below. You really need to go and have a look at this. Alex is a wealth of knowledge, and some of his plays and picks have been really, really good. But of course, this teaches you to go ahead and do it yourself as a general framework. So guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please like the video and subscribe. I do 2 videos every single day. Take good care of yourselves. Talk soon. Bye.